Hi everyone. When conducting research, it's impossible to avoid biases of one sort or another. Biases that can potentially influence the data and also the conclusion drawn. Good researchers demonstrate their integrity by admitting without reservation that certain biases may well have influenced their findings. For example, in survey research, you should always report the percentages of people who have and have not consented to participate, such as those who have agreed and refused to be interviewed, or those who have and have not returned questionnaires. Furthermore, you should be candid about possible sources of bias that result from differences between participants and non-participants. In today's video, I provide guidelines for identifying possible sampling biases in questionnaire research. And then I provide you with some kind of a questionnaire checklist that can help you pin down the various biases that can potentially contaminate descriptive studies of all sorts. So let's get started. Carefully scrutinize the questionnaire for items that might be influenced by factors that frequently distinguish respondents from non-respondents. For example, ask yourself, are some people more interested in this topic than others? If so, would their interest level affect their responses? How much might people's language and literacy skills influence their ability and willingness to respond? If the response requires high literacy skills and you are targeting people with low literacy skills, then you might have some bias in your research. Ask yourself, are people with high education levels likely to respond differently to certain questions than people with less education? Always remember that responders tend, on average, to be more highly educated than non-responders because they have the confidence to respond to a questionnaire, understand the questions, and demonstrate their high IQ. You might also think about in your question research, might younger people respond differently than older ones? Might people with full-time jobs respond differently than people who are retired or unemployed? Because fully employed individuals may have little or no free time to complete the questionnaire, especially if they have young children. Also think about, might healthy people respond differently than those who are disabled or chronically ill? Because healthy people are more likely to have the time and energy to respond. Compare the responses on questionnaires that were returned quickly with responses on those that were returned later, perhaps after a second reminder letter or after the deadline you imposed. The late ones may, to some extent, reflect the kind of responses that non-respondents would have given. Significant differences between the early and late questionnaires probably indicate bias in your results, because people who don't want to respond, if being reminded, may respond in a hurry or may not complete the questionnaire or may leave some questions out intentionally. Depends on what kind of people they are. Also, randomly select a small number of non-respondents and then try to contact them by email or telephone. Probably present an abridged version of your survey, and if some people reply, compare their answers to those in your original set of respondents. I remember one author who used a variation in this strategy in the study of summer training institutes. A research assistant had sent questionnaires to all attendees at one summer's institutes so that the institute's leaders could improve the training session the following year. And she got a return rate of 50%. She started calling everybody to small random samples of both respondents and non-respondents and asked a few of the questions that had been on the questionnaire. She obtained similar responses from both groups, leading the research team to conclude that the responses to the questionnaires were probably fair representative of the entire population of institute participants. That is one way to go about it. So here is a checklist of possible questions that you may ask yourself when you are conducting the research. Do you have certain expectations about the results you will obtain and or the conclusions you are likely to draw? If so, what are they? Do you have any preconceived notions about cause and effect relationships within the phenomena you are studying? If so, what precautions might you take to ensure that you do not infer causal relationships from cross-variable correlations you might find? Make sure that you only focus on the two variables that you are trying to find the cause and effect relationship between. How do you plan to identify a sample for your study? What characteristics of that sample might limit your ability to generalize your findings to a larger population? On what specific qualities and characteristics will you be focusing? What potentially relevant qualities and characteristics will you not be looking at? To what degree might omitted variables be as important or more important in helping to understand the phenomena you are studying? This is very important. Make sure you think about not only the confounding variables but also some of the omitted variables. So in your research report, you must explain how you identified the confounding variables, why they do not affect the cause and effect relationship, as well as why you decided to leave out certain variables, the omitted variables, and how or why they would or would not affect your research study. This is very important part of your research. You might also think about the participants' responses. Will they be poor indicators of certain characteristics, attitudes, or opinions? For example, might they say or do things in order to create a favorable impression? For example, maybe they have been asked, do they believe in marriage equality between same-sex people? So they might think that if they say no, they might not be considered progressive. Or if they are asked that should army people or people in the armed forces get extra benefits, and they might feel if they say no, they might be considered to be anti-national. So you have to make sure that they are comfortable answering questions honestly. You might also think about asking people questions about topics, or are you asking people questions about topics they haven't really thought about before? For example, if you're asking them about their monthly expenses, do you think that they are going to provide a number randomly, or have you provided them with subcategories where they can indicate the amount being spent so that the accumulation of that gives them the monthly expenses account? Also think about, are you asking questions that require them to rely on their memories of past events? For example, are you asking somebody how many relationships have they had in the last 20 years or something? Someone might be uncomfortable answering them, or someone may not remember. So if you are trying to rely them or ask them to rely on their memory, it is better that you give people a range so that they can select a range if they do not remember the exact number. These are just examples. So I hope that you found this video useful in possibly using it in future as a checklist to identify possible sampling bias in questionnaire research. It's a good idea for you to discuss these points and factors with your supervisory team, your fellow students and peers, your fellow researchers, because it's very essential that you identify all these biases in your research design before you actually implement the research and you start collecting data. Otherwise, it will be too late. So identify these biases, control for these biases, make sure you acknowledge for any residual bias in your research report, and explain how you control for it, or how you accepted it, or how it might have affected or might not have affected your research. Because honest research reporting will increase your chances of better evaluation by examiners and reviewers. So I'll see you soon with my next video, guys. Good luck with your research studies, and let me know what you think about these videos. I look forward to your comments and feedback. Bye for now.